KSR's Jack Pilgrim here with Zack Geoghegan, rapidly reacting to Kentucky's 69-59 victory. We're clearly still at Rupp Arena, where there are people still around, security guards everywhere. Plenty to discuss. Obviously, Oscar Tshiebwe, the story of the game, another double-double for him, especially an explosion in the second half, 28 points, 12 rebounds for him. But it didn't start until, that didn't happen until a very ugly second half of the first half.
There you go.
For the Cats. 10 minutes, very pretty to start the game, and then the last 10, don't know what the heck happened, but it was not a good look for the Cats.
Yeah, no, not good at all. Luckily, they found out the solution in the second half is just give the ball to Oscar Tshiebwe, and he had 22 of his 28 came in the second half. I think there was a point where he was shooting 9 for 13, and the rest of the team was under 30%. So that wasn't very good. The first 10 minutes of the game of today, though, was almost like the vision of what we were kind of expecting to see. It wasn't just feed the ball to Oscar. Shots were going in, and then in the second half, I guess either Yale adjusted or Cal just kind of chalked up to missing shots. They missed 10 in a row at one point in that second half of the first half, and I think they had a 6-minute plus drought as well. So that just happens in college basketball too, unfortunately, but it was a bad time for it to happen. But whatever they did at the second half, obviously Cal just hammered it into their heads. Please give the ball to the best player in the country, and we kind of all saw what happened from there.
I think that's kind of one of the biggest frustrating parts of the game, and some of the topics talking afterward. You get a stretch from the 8-minute mark to basically minute and a half left at the end of the first half, where Kentucky didn't score a single basket, and then those final minute and a half, you get 2 quick buckets, 8 points in the last 10 minutes of the game. And Cal still after the game talking about offensive efficiency, how Kentucky is still in the top 10 nationally in that regard, and how he wants Kentucky to be number one. Obviously, every coach does, but still stressing that this is an efficient offense and that they are still working, doing a lot of the things that everybody else in college basketball is doing, which I don't know about you, but I'm not seeing other teams in college basketball going on 10-minute scoring droughts. So I don't know if they're just looking at numbers online and just kind of looking at the analytics and just assuming that things are just going to plan. But I think in the half court, there's some serious issues with this team, especially like we saw in the end of that first half. Do you have any idea what that is, Zach? Do you have any magic sauce, secret sauce that Kentucky could drink to potentially fix these problems? Because I certainly don't.
I mean, if I want to take the Cal route, part of it is just hitting more shots, you feel like. I feel like, pointing to, what did he say, 5th in efficiency or 6th in efficiency in the country. I think it's still a bit of a small sample size against a lot of really bad teams to maybe use that as the justification for the offense being good. But if you're asking me how to fix it, honestly, the second half of that first half is kind of, I don't know what happened. I don't know how they missed all those shots. I feel like it was just kind of a continuation of that first part. But like we were saying, just shots weren't falling. They weren't just moving the ball around as like they were. It was just a lot of, it almost felt like, maybe grinded out type thing that they were doing a little bit too early. And they just didn't get the ball to Oscar was part of it. He just did not touch the ball. I think, like you said, he only had 6 points in the first half and then just came out after that. So maybe get C.J. Frederick some more looks. He only played 9 minutes tonight. That was kind of a talk of the press conference that we were asking some of the players about how to get him more shots. And they said that Xavier even said that they've been talking to C.J. more, trying to keep his spirits up because he's not necessarily in a slump. He just hasn't been playing very well. In terms of shooting the ball, his defense has slacked a little bit. So you've got other pieces that can come in and maybe fix those things so you don't have 10 minutes where you don't score, where you can get a guy like CJ going. It felt like they were trying to get Reeves a little bit more involved in the second half as well. So just all those things together is what helped formulate that second half performance. But if you're asking me how to fix the actual half-court offense, I'm not entirely sure. Xavier missed a lot of layups. That's still part of it. I think he missed 3 or 4 right at the rim. You make those, and if it's a 10-point game at halftime, we're probably thinking of things a little bit differently. So just a lot of little things, it feels like right now.
So Kentucky goes up double digits in the first half, and the end of the first half, that is what it is. In the second half, actually Yale took a 2-point lead, and then it turned into Oscar Tshiebwe ball, where you talking to Oscar after the game, and he said, I knew that there wasn't a single player on that Yale roster that could guard me. Their best player was out, which we didn't even get to talk about that. That was a clear mismatch opportunity for the Cats. 6'7", Matt Noling missed the game with an injury. He was their another 16-point per game scorer, really, really efficient, kind of that stretch 4, small ball 4 type player, created a huge mismatch opportunity that Kentucky finally took advantage of in the second half. Oscar, like you said, exploded for 22 points. He said post-game, he said, I demanded the ball at halftime. I said, there is not a guy on their roster that can guard me. You need to get me the ball. I will put points on the board, and I will will us to victory. Just stop worrying and let me fix everything. So it's kind of troubling that we're even at this point, that it's kind of 1-on-5 at this point. You're relying on Oscar Tshiebwe. He can, and it's appreciated, but you don't want it to be just so one-dimensional that you have to rely on your National Player of the Year to save the day every single time around. It was, again, appreciated, and he dominated the way he did. But
it works against Yale.
It's when you come up in the SEC schedule, you got UCLA next week. Obviously, Louisville's not a threat that we thought they were going to be. They again get blown out, a 20-point loss against Florida State. So the bulk of the schedule's coming up, SEC slate. It's not preferable to have your offense basically being solely Oscar Tshiebwe.
Yeah, but if you do want to point to the fact that they had to do that, it gave Oscar opportunities to take double, triple teams, which were coming the entire time, especially that entire second half. He was getting triple teamed, even on box outs. And one thing I felt like I started to notice is not a lot of UK players are going for offensive rebounds other than Oscar. If he's down there, everyone else just kind of stands around. So I'm wondering if that's something that's being talked about or not. But just double, triple teams, he was brushing them all aside, still going up. I liked some like when he was getting doubled, he was passing it out. Even Jacob gave him a good pass inside. So he's doing just really good at learning out how to carve his space better. So if you want to look at it from that perspective, he's getting more experience of learning how to deal with different types of looks on defense and things like that. So he had one move, my do-si-do move. I forget. He did the up and under on one of the dudes in the first half, which was really nice. So I feel like he's growing a little bit more. The post play still needs a little bit more in terms of playmaking and passing it out, but he did a couple of those tonight where it was almost, he was forced to. He had 3 guys on him and he had no other option but to pass it out. So if you're looking for positives on why Oscar had to play 38 minutes and score all the points, I think that's something that can benefit him in the long term. Yeah. And it helps that the team they got him the ball in the second half, and they didn't turn it over while they were giving him the ball. And I think that's a big part is, maybe at the beginning of the year, they were struggling just to give Oscar the ball in the post. And I feel like today it was a lot easier.
And if you're looking for a health update, Oscar upped his status from 85%, as Cal said earlier in the week, to 95%. So he's not 100% there. He's just shy of that, but he did say he was 95%, feeling pretty good. So definitely a good sign that you're getting your best player in kind of slowly progressing as the season's moving on. He was the talk of the game, anchoring the middle of the floor for the Cats. The other kind of big topics of the game, that Cal very much stressing that Jacob Toppin needs to emerge, that he is not providing enough for this team right now. He finishes with 4 points, 2 of 6 shooting, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. So doing some of the other little things, but Cal stress for Kentucky to be at its best and kind of hit that potential, you got to have a guy that has a 45-inch vertical and do the physical gifts that Jacob Toppin has. You got to get him going in a way that he's clearly not providing right now. Kind of got on him a little bit about stop relying on your jump shot, your 3-point jump shot. Did say that, if you want to get to a one dribble pull up, yeah, that works with me, but you have a 45-inch vertical. Go dunk on somebody's head. Play above the rim. That's what you are at your best. That's what kind of makes you the NBA prospect that you are. Stop relying on your jump shot and figure out how to use your physical tools. That was a big point of emphasis. Obviously, Chris Livingston as well. A lot of talk about, will he play the 4? Stop playing him at the 2 or, on the wing. Let him utilize his physical gifts as well. Got a little bit of that in the first half, then kind of disappeared in the second half. Some good and some bad with Chris Livingston. There was that one finish where he finished through the physicality and probably could have gotten an and one on that one. Mm-hmm. Got that, he was kind of cherry picking a little bit. We got that full court run out, lay in there at the rim, and then the 3-pointer before he got pulled out of the game. So some good, but defensive lapses and things like that kept him out in the second half. So that 4 spot is a very clear point of emphasis there for Cal.
Yeah, and I think Cal's main point to Jacob, like you were saying, is you have a 40-inch vertical, use it. We just feel like we don't see a guy like him. Even Damian as well in the preseason in the Bahamas, we saw those guys just jumping up everywhere. We just don't see that anymore. And it feels like when Jacob does go up for a dunk, it finds a way to bounce off the back of the rim. So it hasn't been working for him so far. I think Cal had to pull Damian Collins at one point too, and they kind of got into it just to keep talking about the 4 position there. So we're not necessarily into it, but they had a little bit of a back and forth about maybe how Damian was playing defense. So those minutes are open, that's for sure. Lance Ware didn't even play in the game. Ugonna only played 2 minutes. That's the backup 5 even still. But feels like Cal's kind of figuring out his lineups a little bit more, or he's cutting his rotation down. I do think it's odd that Lance didn't play a single minute. Maybe he's sick. He said Adu was sick today, or Almani.
Little bug
today.
going around, yes.
Yeah, so the 4 spot is wide open right now, but it was nice to see Chris. He took some bad shots. There were a couple shots that were ill-advised, probably not ones he should take. And like you said, he gave up a 3 to their best shooter, and that's what pulled him out there in the first half from his 4 spots. So, but I like it. Great stuff from Chris, and it was nice to see Cal actually say he wants to give Chris minutes, and he did. I don't know how many he played, probably 15,
I think
20?
14 total.
14 minutes, so we'll take it.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the concern with Chris is we talked about the beauty of him being so versatile and, being a 6'7", kind of what he wants to be, baby LeBron, where, we talked about how Cal had him watching highlights of Devin Booker and Hamidou Diallo coming off screens and kind of utilizing, his athleticism and his speed and kind of ability to put the ball on the floor. Those are all great things. But when you have the physicality and the size mismatch opportunities that you do with Chris, it kind of creates a difficult situation for him is, he doesn't know how to get to his spots, what position is he playing. I felt like some of the shots were just really uncomfortable for him. And instead of just utilizing his size and strength to find those mismatch, he put the ball on the floor a lot more than I think he needs to, kind of hoping for the best whenever he's kind of curling around and into the middle for those mid-range pull-ups. It's like he's trying to figure out on the fly who he is as a basketball player, and I think that's part of the inconsistency with is he a 2, is he a 4? You like the versatility and you like the mismatches that he can create, but I think kind of narrowing his role a little bit will probably help him in the long run.
Yeah, I completely agree. I feel like we're going a little long here. Are we, Steven?
Do it 11:30.
11:30. Well, we'll
wrap it up. Do we have any other notes should we talk about?
The only thing I had was the bug going around. Cal called Adu Almami. I thought that was kind of a cool moment.
That's
kind
Adu's dad.
In the back of his mind 20 years ago coaching him at Memphis. I thought that was pretty cool. Said that Ugo was surprised that he even played because he was very sick this morning.
Yes.
Almost missed shoot around. Was surprised to see him even show up for shoot around. So I don't know if that's something that's going to affect Kentucky going into the next week. Hopefully they get that knocked out before their trip to New York. Said finals are coming up, so they got to hit the books. They're going to have
They got 3 days off.
Three days
a 7-day
off.
break for the UCLA game, so plenty of time. Get Oscar to 100%. He's only 5%.
That's
left.
it.
That's
you get a
easy.
full week, 3 days of rest. It'll be a great opportunity for
and
Oscar
he'll drop
to get
the
back.
30-point.
And that's
The
all we're
30-15
waiting
there.
for. Kentucky gets it done, moves to 7-2 on the year. That is it.